Hi everyone, Donna here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about disaster planning. And we are learning very quickly that it is absolutely critical and that it is neglected. So, in the simplest terms, disaster planning is simply taking a look at your business and saying, what could possibly go wrong? Making a list of what could go wrong, and then having a plan, creating a plan around that. I will give you an example of the top 4 disasters that would really impact me. One is if my computers were all fried. That would be a disaster. I have client information on my business computers, and not all of it's backed up to the cloud. So that would be a disaster. Number 2 would be if something happened to me. That's a disaster I need to plan for. Number 3 would be if something happened to my boyfriend, my significant other. And that's pretty close to being right in my face because he does actually have some health problems. And number 4 would be if the internet went down. So those are 4 things that I know I absolutely have to plan on. Well, I can solve, if my computers are fried, I can resolve that by backing everything up to the cloud. That way I have all of the information that I need. It might take me a little bit more longer to find the programs and reinstall them and access the data, but I can back everything up to the cloud. I have the means to do that. So I've already got that resolved. I've just got to finish taking care of that. Most of my clients' data is already stored in the cloud because I use QuickBooks Online for most of my clients. And I'm getting to the point that I don't give them an option to go anywhere else. There's 2 reasons why I like QuickBooks Online. Number 1 is it's easier for me. I can work on their stuff from anywhere. And that to me is critical because of my other 2 disasters that are really the big ones. I need to be able to work on my clients' data from anywhere. So if something happens here in Utah and I go stay with my parents in Kentucky for a while, I still want to be able to work on my clients' work. Or if I have to go stay in a hotel for a little bit, I don't necessarily, I like having my very nice workstation. I have very large monitors that you can't see because the camera's sitting on top of one of them. But I have nice big monitors and it's really easy for me to see all my work and this is really comfortable. But if something happened, I can pick up my laptop and I can be right back in business from a hotel room, from a hospital room, which brings me, so I have most of my stuff backed up to the cloud. That resolves my first disaster. Computers are replaceable, but the data's not. I have a laptop, so if something happens to Chris, I can go to the hospital. I have my laptop. I can work from anywhere. If we need to get out of town for a little bit, if we need to, if we just want to go on a vacation, I have my laptop. I can open it up. I can continue to work on my client stuff. It doesn't matter where in the world I am. I just have to have internet access. So that takes care of my data and my boyfriend's health. Well, what about my health? That one I haven't resolved yet. It is in the works. How do I resolve what happens to my clients if something happens to me? 2 ways. One is to purchase life insurance on myself that goes to the business. So if anything happens to me, there's money in the business to take care of my employees. Number 2 would be to hire additional bookkeepers, an assistant. I have a really fabulous assistant. She doesn't realize she's as good as she is. That's kind of the best part of it. But that means I need to hire more staff. That way, if something happens to me, while it may kind of freeze some of the business growth, my clients are taken care of. And this is the reason I'm talking through this on the video is not to say this is a problem I have in my business, because by the time you watch this, this will probably all be resolved. It is to say I've identified 4 crises that could really cause some problems with my business, and I've identified solutions for those. So the solution for something happening to me personally is to have staff that are already trained. Okay, and the 4th one is if the internet goes down. Here's the problem. That's beyond my control. If the internet goes down, the only thing I really know to do is to start calling my clients and saying, well, that's going to depend. If the internet goes down due to a brief outage with Comcast, which is who we have it through, then we just take the day off and pick up again the next day and get everything caught up. If the internet goes down due to a nationwide crisis, then I have to call on my clients. But at the same time, they're going to be understanding because they're down too. If the internet goes down and it's just localized to my location, maybe I go over to Starbucks and work for a little bit. That's a solvable problem. So what we're looking for as we're doing disaster planning is we're looking for major disasters. But I do look at all of the things from inconveniences all the way up to, oh my gosh, this is going to put me out of business. Now, as we are coming out of the COVID-19 crisis, we are starting to, our president is starting to look at reopening the country. And I think that's a great idea. I think that it's time. As he's doing that, now is the time. Folks, if you're watching this video, I assume you're a small business owner. Now is the time to look really hard and say, what does that look like for my business? Okay. Some of you have not been affected very much at all. Some of you may be in trades, which means that we still need plumbers and electricians and handymen and landscapers, and those people probably have not been affected. If you're in construction, you may not have been affected at all. It may have nothing to do with you. If you own, for example, an auto repair shop and you've had to close due to coronavirus, now's the time to start thinking about, what do I need to do to open? Do I have the capital to open? Have I applied for any disaster relief? It may not make sense for you to do that if it's a loan. It may make sense for you to do that if it's largely a grant. So if you haven't looked at SBA disaster loans, I strongly encourage you to do so. You're free to reach out to me at 801-692-0032. You can speak to me personally, and we can talk about that. It seems like I would include information about them on this video. The problem is, it seems like these rules are changing hour to hour. So it would be best just to give me a call and talk to me about that. But do you have the capital to reopen your business? Is it even going to be possible? Have you spent it trying to stay afloat? If you reopen, how do you get the word out? And I'm going to assume you reopen, because to me, every small business that closes due to COVID-19 is a disaster. It is absolutely an unmitigated disaster. We've done so much to mitigate the virus. They've forgotten that there is a human toll. And really, economy, we talk about the economy like it's something separate, but really, the economy is how you use your resources. And their resources tend to be measured in money. So when I talk about the economy, I'm not talking about some impersonal thing that's separate from everybody I know. I'm talking about families. I'm talking about livelihoods. I talk about auto repair shops, and I think about clients that I've had that have owned auto repair shops, and I know what that has meant to them. And I'm thinking about the families that those businesses have fed. So I'm when I talk about the economy, it's not, it's just money, it's just cold hard cash. I'm talking about families and their futures, and being aware that for every 1% rise in unemployment, there are approximately 39,000 deaths associated with it. So you talk about the economy, and the pundits all make it sound like it's some sort of monolithic thing, but it's not. And I talk about the economy of my family and the economy of my business, and we're all part of that, and it's critical. It's critical. This is how we as humans, we in our society have chosen to manage our resources. So, do you have the resources to reopen? I really hope the answer is yes. If you do not, if you are not sure, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to do a consultation with you and take a look. Let's make sure that you do. If you need further resources, I have professionals that I work with, that I refer business to, that I would be happy to put you in touch with, because it is a disaster when a small business closes. If you're opening your doors, like I said, I'm going to assume that you all are, then do you have everything in place? Do you know how you're going to get people back in the door? If you have, if you have an airline or a cruise line or a hotel, it might be lean for a little bit. Do you have other ideas? What can we do to help you come up with ideas to start bringing people back in the door? What can you do also to help ease people's minds about this disease, which is not nearly as terrible as they make out to be? I've had it. It was not fun. It's not nearly as terrible as everybody makes it out to be. It is not fun. I don't recommend getting it, but it's, and it took me a long time to feel back to normal. But what are you doing to ease people's minds? Can you have masks available for them to use? That's one of the things I appreciate at my doctor's office. I have gone into the doctor with a cough and sneezing and runny nose, and didn't necessarily want to cough on anybody. This was pre-COVID-19. And so I appreciated that they had masks there. And they said, if you're sick and coughing, please put on a mask to protect other people. That gives me more peace of mind going into an office, especially a doctor's office, that they put something into place to help protect me. Are you sanitizing more often? And if you are you telling people ahead of time? So going back to the auto repair shop, and I'm kind of thinking about that because they tend to be like most auto repair is dirty business. It's just the way it is, okay? The guys are, elbow deep in car parts and grease and oil and, kind of the blood and guts of your car. And so they have dirty hands all the time, even when they wash them all the time. So if you're a car repair shop, what can you do to help your customers feel more secure? Can you sanitize the office space, the place, your waiting area, more often? Can you require your guys to wear gloves? Can you sanitize the cars before and after they're worked on? These are just some ideas, some thoughts. And, the biggest thing is, if you're sick, stay home. And if your employees are sick, encourage them to stay home. Another part of disaster planning would be if you have a brick and mortar location and it is destroyed, what do you do? Do you have a plan for that? Do you have a plan to, okay, well, if my primary location is destroyed, if a tornado comes through and flattens it, if it's flooded and it can't be, it can't be restored, if it's flattened by an earthquake, there's a lot of ways. If it burns down, what do you do next? Well, do you have earthquake insurance? Do you have flood insurance? Do you have enough insurance to cover your building? Do you have a plan to, okay, if this happens, I'm then going to go immediately, if my building burns down, within 2 days, I'm going to go start looking for another location. That's a disaster plan. Okay? If I lose the tools of my trade, okay? If my concrete warehouse burns down and I lose all of the tools that I use for my concrete company, what do? Do you have a plan for that? That's one of the things that I like about my insurance company, by the way, which happens to be USAA, and this is not intended to be a commercial for them, is they've already told me what to do. I remember getting my driver's license at 16 and being told, this is what you do if you're ever in a wreck. So disaster planning is just making these plans. If I lose my building, this is what I do now. First, I file the claim. While I'm waiting for the claim, I start looking for another location. If it's completely flat in my city, well, I'm going to have to look in the next city. Do I have enough money to run for a month while I'm in the process? Because you probably aren't going to find a place immediately. Do I have insurance plans? Do I have enough revenue coming in? This is where we really help. Do I have enough revenue coming in to cover my expenses for more than 1 month? And if not, what do I need to do to make sure that some little hiccup doesn't completely put me out of business? Okay, we can help you with the financial part of your disaster plan. We can refer you to people who can help you with the legal, marketing, with the other aspects, with the insurance. So please feel free to reach out to me. Again, the number is 801-692-0032. We would love to help. We would love to help you get a disaster plan into place. There is a peace of mind that comes from knowing that no matter what happens, I hate to quote Elizabeth Warren, but you have a plan for that. Okay? Granted, the plan may not survive your disaster, whatever it may be. But if you have a plan, then you have something to kind of fall back on to at least know where to start. Thanks for watching.